morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending where you're joining us from. My name is John Paul Backwell, and I am the Managing Director at ILUS International. And welcome to this brief highlights video. So as many of you will have seen, yesterday we released another Q&A video. And although that had lots of very important information and updates in it, we do know that not everyone will want to or be able to spend an hour watching it. So I just thought I'd do this highlights video for you, and I guess with the benefit of this video also containing possibly a little bit more juicy information, which did not form part of yesterday's answers in the Q&A video. I do note that regarding yesterday's longer Q&A video, we will also be releasing each question as individual clips on our ILUS YouTube channel. So if you want to just go back and listen to an update on the EU deal or the SS update, for example, then you can simply go to our YouTube, click on the video you want to watch, and hopefully you'll get the information that you're looking for. Since our last Q&A, a lot has been happening. And so I wanted to update you on a few highlights of what has happened, on what we're working on, and then what some of our exciting plans are. So just to recap, in the last couple of weeks, we've completed the pre-contract agreements on 3 additional acquisitions in the US, and those will add 12 million in revenue to our books before we add additional growth to them. For those who don't know, we already acquired 3 companies in the first 2 quarters of this year. And so now we're adding another 3, and then we hope to agree and complete with at least 2 more, possibly even as many as 4 more in the next few months. And I do mean those outside of our large EU acquisition and any other large deals that we've spoken about. We have begun the process of shipping equipment and vehicles like our eRaptor electric UTV, our plastic welding machinery and raw materials over to the US so that the acquisitions will be able to begin preparing for the manufacture of our technology in the US. We also closed out our 3rd quarter very strongly with revenues up to in excess of $3 million. And there were some additional orders which did come in during that quarter, but weren't invoiced in time due to things like shipping delays. So our actual sales for the quarter were closer to $4 million. So yeah, Q3 has been our best quarter yet. We've grown incrementally quarter on quarter, revenue up, profit up, etc. And I'm sure we'll continue to do so. And then in other news, related news, I guess, BCD Fire and Bullhead Products are also both working on large orders. Recently, for those who don't know, BCD Fire was awarded the 2nd phase of the Burj 2020 contract in Dubai. It's a contract it's already been busy with. It did the 1st phase and then was awarded the 2nd, and that was an additional $1 million contract following the previous contracts it's been awarded, and there's been numerous. It's been a great acquisition for us so far, BCD Fire, and there's so many promising things we're doing with it, and I look forward to updating on that at the shareholder meetups and annual shareholders meeting. Bullhead Products is also in a strong position to win a $1.1 million contract in Mississippi, and that'll be our first significant vehicle contract in the US. Our sales director, Jason Bolsey, was out there with them recently. He attended those meetings, and he said it's looking really, really positive. So obviously this is well, not obviously, but for those who wouldn't know, this will be a long-term customer as well. And the company, the customer itself, is a global powerhouse of a company. So a really important one for us, and it's great that that's looking positive. Firebug itself is also bidding on multiple contracts. We also recently employed another salesperson for them in the Middle East. So they're steadily growing too. We've also employed a salesperson for our virtual reality fire extinguisher and first response training, which is being launched in Dubai for starters. We've definitely seen an interest from a large number of hotels and private sectors customers in that region already, so that's also great. The partnerships with Take Leap and Millennium are developing well. As I said, the virtual reality training is as a result of the Take Leap partnership, which is being launched, and the R&D team is also doing some autonomous fire vehicle testing for a customer-led requirement, and that's part of the Millennium partnership. And then very excitingly beyond this, we're now beginning a partnership with a very prominent New York-based first response software company that really has the most groundbreaking emergency responder notification and monitoring software I've seen. I know many people that have looked at it have ever seen. I mean, forget rapid response. With these guys' software, the world will be in a position to have immediate response. I saw the demonstrations and I nearly fell off my chair. That thinking that that technology could actually exist and soon be made available to law enforcement, to firefighters and other first responders like paramedics and security personnel, etc. So it's honestly truly revolutionary, and I can't wait to update you on that partnership, because also the way that the partnership is unraveling is hugely beneficial to ILUS as we expand. And then, as I mentioned in the Q&A, Nick is in Europe working on that massive European deal, which is going to take place in two parts. The first part of the deal will involve the manufacturing of our eRaptor range of commercial electric utility vehicles and the small firefighting vehicle manufacturing capability. And that first part should complete this year still. The second part, which is the really astronomical part, will involve larger firefighting vehicles, military vehicles, and associated large manufacturing contracts. So that's the big part, and that part should take place early on next year. That acquisition is part of a privatization deal, which involves taking over manufacturing plants, their operations, and their 1,500 plus staff, amongst other things. So it's a huge acquisition for us. The plant itself supplies a number of countries across Europe and some globally, including, very importantly for us, some key ones that we'll be wanting to break into for some time. So whilst Mr. Nick has been working his magic in Europe, I've been in the UK, in the rainy UK, primarily to work on a very significant acquisition here, not downplaying it in any way at all. It's a really big acquisition for us in terms of its importance. And so I'm doing that before heading back to the US and to work on a few more over there, which will then be leading up to our shareholder meetups. Again, as I mentioned in the Q&A, this UK acquisition is for a group of 4 companies which are incredibly well aligned with our strategy. They supply a number of our competitors. They're a very well structured and well run company, and their revenues are in the region of $10 million. So it's an important acquisition, and if it's successful, brilliant. But there's also many others that we're working on in the UK and in Europe, including a really innovative wildfire fighting equipment company in Europe. So it's always why I say we have such a rich acquisition pipeline. I mean, there's so many we're looking at in the US and so many in the UK and Europe, and we're not even talking about the ones that are on our radar in the Middle East and things like that. I'll head back, as I said, from here to the US, and then I'll hope to complete an acquisition in Florida, which is for a fixed firefighting systems business with very significant contracts in place, including for kitchen fire systems, which coincidentally we also develop. So lots of synergies. We don't do anything unless there's huge synergy involved. And then just to say, if you think of what people from all over the world travel to Florida for, then I guess you can imagine what some of those contracts entail. And I guess that brings me to our acquisition strategy. I just wanted to give you an idea of the phase we are moving into and focusing on as a company leading up to our Nasdaq uplist. Although the strategy, it's important to say, will continue to be played out well beyond that. Firstly, and just to repeat this, because it is really important, we are always focused on acquiring the highest possible quality assets into ILUS as we lead up to Nasdaq. As I said in the Q&A, our goal is to become a conglomerate. So I have on this second screen up here a definition, the business definition of conglomerate. A conglomerate is a multi-industry company, i.e. a combination of multiple businesses or entities operating in various industries under one corporate group, usually involving a parent company and many subsidiaries. Conglomerates are often large and multinational. So that explains it and should give you an idea of what we're doing as a company. So to make this conglomeration a reality, we're aiming to acquire multiple firefighting equipment companies like Firebug, and then other associated and complementary manufacturers and distributors. We're also aiming to acquire multiple fixed firefighting system companies like we've done with BCD Fire. And then beyond this, multiple renewable and sustainable energy companies to build on what we're already doing with our existing eRaptor electric vehicles. And so we've got a whole vision about forming that as part of our group as well. So I guess if you've been following us for a while, and many of you will have, you can see that we're putting all the pieces of this together. We're actioning it. We're not just talking about it. Some parts of the whole picture are further ahead than others. And we do know, I'll remind you of this, we do know that we need to walk before we run, and that's precisely what we're doing. In our first phase, we had aimed to acquire manufacturing capability, market knowledge, and foundational routes to market for our existing technology. We're now completing on that. I think that's plain to see. And we're moving into our second phase, which is to acquire multiple distributors, multiple distributors of firefighting equipment products, which will give us that foot in the door that I spoke about in yesterday's Q&A. Was a very good question. That foot in the door for our existing technology, and obviously much more than that. If you do want to know more about the strategy, as I said, it's covered in quite a few areas of yesterday's Q&A. And this plays into how we will completely dominate the US market for the sale of firefighting equipment. It will also play into how we sell far more of our own existing innovative and disruptive technology. And it'll give us literally a wide open highway for the introduction of our new technologies like autonomous firefighting, like new wildfire solutions that we're already working on, and much faster emergency response solutions. And all of that together is ultimately going to save more lives and make communities safer, which is why we got into this. It's what we're here for and what we're really passionate about. And then simultaneously, gosh, there's a lot here. Simultaneously with all of this, we're also looking to partner with and acquire multiple IoT and software technologies that complement what we are already doing for the emergency response space. I mean, look, firefighting and rescue equipment is vital, but it's only as good as the organization, the notification, and the communication solutions that go with it. So, as well as the wearable technology, which makes that communication possible for first responders that are obviously in the thick of the action. So that's what we're getting stuck into in terms of acquisitions and partnerships as well. And we all know that software, well, I think most of us know, not all of us, but most of us will know that software as a service solutions and the whole financial model with recurring revenue around it is integral to our growth and to our future. And then incidentally, these software companies or these types of companies also achieve much higher valuation than standalone manufacturing companies. So that's very important in terms of our roadmap. So yeah, I guess to discuss a little bit more about the Nasdaq side of things, we have mentioned that we have started due diligence on a company which has annual revenues in excess of $100 million. We've also mentioned that this forms part of our Nasdaq uplist plans. So that is something that we're already working on. And just to explain it a bit further, we plan to acquire a significant global firefighting equipment company, which has those aforementioned types of revenues, and importantly has products which are a household name in the firefighting industry. So this will then be complemented by our growing distribution network, those numerous acquisitions that we are completing and will be completing, and then also other manufacturing businesses that we have and will acquire. And then beyond this, we just aim to repeat that process with a large global fixed firefighting system player, of which we've already actually earmarked a few. There's a number that are out there. There's a number that we've done business with in the past and things like that. So it's very easy to earmark those and to know what's going on within them and who could be for sale and things like that. Our roadmap, obviously, our roadmap continues in more detail and it goes much further down the line than what I've mentioned, but I'm going to leave it there for now and say that we will present the entire plan in much more detail and in much clearer detail at our annual shareholders meeting, including where does the money come from and all those kind of things, because I know that there'll be those who say, well, how is ILUS going to acquire a $100 million revenue company and all of that? I mean, it's not like we haven't thought of that. It's not like we don't have a very clear plan in place, and that will all be revealed at our annual shareholders meeting in Vegas, 28th of January. Just to say also that we are working with a full-time broker and firm that's targeting all of these multiple acquisitions and initiating things for us based on our specifications, based on our brief. So it's not just us on our own trying to accomplish these mammoth tasks, just in case those of you think we're busy trying to climb these mountains alone without any extensively experienced teams of experts working with us. And obviously, this all ensures that we can accomplish a lot relatively quickly. And then to that point, we're also talking to potential members of our board of directors for the Nasdaq company. those who have taken companies to Nasdaq along the route that we're following previously, and those who are also incredibly experienced, successful, influential, former firefighters or influencers in the firefighting industry. You'll see that we'll be advertising for a number of C-level positions in the coming weeks, including that of a CFO, an in-house SEC attorney, and others. And that's all to get our structure in place for that Nasdaq uplist. And then, just to say, for me personally, I always think about this Nasdaq uplisting in the same way I think about going to the gym. I know I'm going there, and I know I'm going there more than once. And that's not downplaying the significance of it in any way and the amount of hard and smart work that we know is involved. But it'll give you an idea of how confident I personally am and how confident we are as a company that we are going where we have spoken about going. It's a substantial team effort. It involves much more than just the team you see at the forefront of what we're visibly doing. And that's supremely why we're so confident that we're going to go there and will go there. To remind everyone, and this is also important, we're always focused on the growth of a long-term and sustainable company which adds shareholder value. So all the decisions we're making is considering both of these important factors to ensure that we build that conglomerate that we've spoken about, and to ensure that our shareholders always get the best possible deal in all that we do. So we always look to put ourselves in our shareholders' shoes too and see things from the shareholder point of view. We consider all those factors involved, and then we make the decisions that will benefit the growth of the company and obviously our ILUS family of shareholders. So yeah, this was intended to be a really short video. It might have gone a bit longer, but as I said, there's even so much more that I could say, but I think I'm going to have to say that that's enough for this highlights video for today. There's just so much going on in the life of ILUS. If you want to know more about things like the SS update, share buybacks, discounts for long-held shares, please refer to yesterday's Q&A video. I guess all the individual clips when they're out for that information. And then again, guys, I always say it, but really a huge thank you to our long-term shareholders. And of course, I really look forward to meeting as many of you as possible soon. And I hope you found this highlights video to be, well, sufficiently juicy, I guess. But definitely useful and informative, and I'm sure that there will be plenty more to come from us at ILUS. So for now, thanks everyone.